What is that? Nobody died. Look, I'm not happy.
Susie for the Bills did. I tell you that right now.
Honestly, but I'm not nearly as invested as you, and I felt a real sense of loss when that game was over.
Look, I mean, it wasn't shocking. Look, the way they lost was shocking. I'll say this, and I've been saying it for the past month, ever since the Damar Hamlin situation. There was going to get to a point, whether it was in the playoffs or when it was over, when these guys were just going to run out of emotional currency, where there was no gas left. And I was saying that before the guys were talking a locker cleanout. Roger Saffold, Micah Hyde revealed that they felt like that locker room just had nothing left between Damar Hamlin, between the fact that they had to play 3 road games in 12 days after the snowstorm and won all 3 of them. I mean, look, this team won 8 straight games going into that Bengals game. This team was top 3 in both offense and defense all season long. You have amazing talent. Not to say there isn't holes on that roster after what happened. You also forget about all the injuries this team faced from legitimate stars all season long. I understand why what happened, and I, for one, am not nearly as concerned as it seems that everyone else who is a Bills fan is about where this team goes.
It's the emotional investment, and I understand that there's a lot going in, and I'm glad that Brandon Beane came out and defended Stephon Diggs, which you know exactly he was right. He said what was in the room. He said what people were feeling as far as the quarterback, Josh Allen's performance in that game. That being said, though, there is time to start to reevaluate what's going on with this team. Are you going to run this back next year, hoping that you're not going to face adversity? You are absolutely right. They faced a lot with White, with Miller being gone, with all the different things that went on throughout the season and schedule changes. That being said, you yourself said, I wanted to see this team in the Super Bowl.
Sure.
And you could have seen this team in the Super Bowl. I believed they should have went to the Super Bowl. They did not. So now you have a question of what happened to this offense? Are we as good as we think we are? Do we need to reestablish this again, or do we need to change a few things for the Buffalo Bills organization for the new year?
Overwhelmingly, I feel like I don't want to be Mr. Doom, but I think in strict analytical terms, looking at that roster, the Buffalo Bills will never, ever be in a better position to win than they were this year because of the salary cap.
Yeah.
You're going to pay Allen, you're going to play Diggs, you're going to pay Miller more. You're going to have to lose guys off the periphery.
Sure.
Allen's offense rookie contract, he's a twice in a lifetime, him and Kelly quarterback for this franchise, and now that you have to pay him more, you will never be in a better position going into a season than you were this year.
You're right, but Bill, again, from a gambling standpoint, which roster that is favored to win a Super Bowl runs it wire to wire? I mean, that was my biggest nerve-wracking thing this season long, and the way that the Bills perform made me feel easy throughout the way. I'm not concerned about how this roster goes. I'm going to throw some numbers at you. You ready? 8. You know what that is? That's the combined points of losses before the Cincinnati game this season. They had 3 losses by a combined 8 points. Number 3, you know what that is? The number of division winners they beat throughout the season. They won 13 games. They lost 4 games. You went to Kansas City, you beat the Chiefs in their own house. You had Tennessee, who's been haunting you for years. Got them. You won that Baltimore game when they were leading the division. You won games all season long. You went to overtime on a freak call where Josh Allen fumbles a touchdown in the end zone against Minnesota. This is a good team that understandably lost it after everything they've gone
So
through.
you're not changing your offense. You're not changing your defense. You're not changing your coaches. You're not changing anything. You're going to run it back next year.
Their hands
with
are
the same-
largely tied.
Well, this is what we ran into. What the biggest problem was in the last game was you play in Western New York, and I'm going to say this for the bazillionth time.
Okay.
You have to run the football some other way.
You couldn't run the football because you were down 14-0.
I know we could, but if you could, no, first of all, you were down 14-0, came back 14-7, and then didn't score after that again, except the
3.
field goal. But that being said, what are you going to change? You're just going to run the same guys out there with a different roster, like Bill said, and expect a different result? Like Cincinnati's not going to get better? That Kansas City's not going to change anything? Like, what do you? I please don't do this.
Where is your guy? You want a running back. Where is your Joe Mixon going to come from?
You can make a trade. You can make a trade for one. You can make a trade for Saquon
Can we stop
Barkley.
here?
Tell me. Do you want Saquon Barkley right now?
No, I don't want Saquon Barkley.
So you don't want a running back?
No, I like James Cook. I like James Cook. And we can talk
Do
about
you?
Joe Mixon.
Because you didn't use him in the last game.
You ask me where's your Joe Mixon come from? The Bengals have one of the worst rushing offenses in the league.
And they rushed it all over your defense.
Because you had nothing left. It flies in the face of your logic all season long. Gotta run the ball. Gotta run the ball.
What was
Well, they
the
just went to
biggest concern?
Buffalo and went to the AFC Championship.
What was the biggest concern? The offensive line. That offensive line looked pretty good against Cincinnati, against Buffalo Bills defense. How is that possible?
Look, 13-4. You
That's
cannot
fine.
argue with me. Am I wrong? Wasn't a
It's
top
great.
3 offense.
It's
Wasn't a top 3
fantastic in
defense.
September, but in January, you can't run that offense
January.
outdoors.
You mean like a game they played where they won 8 straight from November to January? You're out of your mind. Don't
But
use
it's not a
recency
team
bias.
that's built. If they get cold weather, it's part of the deal. They're not a team that's built for cold weather.
What?
That team, that offense, wide open, and what they do would be
How is this
far better
surprising to
suited for
you?
California.
Oh. Every NFL team that is in the playoffs right now is far better suited for California. It's why they wanted to put the AFC Championship neutral game in a dome so you could watch the Chiefs and the Bills run like crazy.
Go ahead, just run Allen back out there next year. Have him do all the
Yes!
running, throw the football, have him do everything. God forbid nothing happens to him, and they don't have a second option offensively to run the ball.
I'm not sure how to end this. I know that we have to at some
I
point.
can't believe he wants to run the same team back last year.
when
He's
you-
got
when you-
worse results.
13-3.
When
Right.
you go into next year, again, we love Vegas. The first Vegas odds have the Chiefs and the Bills go for
Wait, but that's weird because I heard the roster's terrible. Set it on fire. Send it home. You're missing several pieces.
Okay, great. You'd be great if you had won last week, then you'd be playing this week, and you have an argument, but you don't.
Okay, I do have an argument.
one line or one word about how you're viewing now to the next season with this team.
One-liner, reevaluate offense.
Tariq's wrong.
That's your.
Yeah, because that's pretty much an outside
Guess
everything.
what? Guess who's going to be in the AFC Championship game next year? Guess who's going to the Super Bowl? The Buffalo Bills. Duffy just said it.
Yes.
Okay, good. Great.
I think we'd all like to see
I'm
that.
fine with that
I would like to
statement.
see it. I thought I'd see it this year, but I didn't.